Have you ever felt like you keep banging your head against a wall and you keep hoping that it will stop and you just keep doing it? No matter what you do, you can't get it to stop. My name is Sandra Rochelle. I'd like to welcome you to my channel. This is how I feel today, and I'm sure some of you have felt this way yourselves. It's not a pleasant feeling, but sometimes you just have to tolerate it. Today was the day that I was to see my new doctor, the one who is going to take care of the radiation therapy that I was told I need for the brain tumor that has come back. His hospital is a bit far, but this morning my husband and I got up, we had breakfast, we gathered our things together, we got in the car, and we drove the 35 miles in traffic to the hospital. There were tons of people there, and I thought to myself, boy, I'm not the only one dealing with these kinds of problems, and I'm luckier than most because mine is not malignant. Nonetheless, mine is a problem causer. I expected to go in and meet with this doctor, have him go over my records, have him discuss my situation, have him tell me what kind of treatment I was going to have, set up a schedule, and move on. Well, that isn't exactly what happened because we ran into a problem. What was the problem? The problem was, despite the fact that I made every effort to get all of my records sent over to this doctor, someone dropped the ball and my images from my most recent MRI did not make it to his office. Well, without the images, people dealing with brains can't really come up with good resolutions for problems that people have. So we danced around that for a while, and finally he came in and he said, we just can't get our hands on this stuff. We're going to have to send for it again, which means you're going to have to come back again. But he did drop one doctor that I had appointments with and got me an appointment with a more appropriate one. So in that way, it turned out to be kind of a good thing. He also discussed the type of therapy that I would have, maybe, called radiotherapy, depending on what the images show. I went in there thinking I was going to have maybe 28 radiation treatments, over a 6-week period, and then that would take care of the problem. That would kill off the bad cells and all that. Well, he said he wasn't sure that that was the right treatment. He was going to have to look at the images. He wanted to do this radiotherapy. The difference in the two is that radiotherapy is stronger radiation but fewer sessions. So where I might have 28 sessions or 33 sessions with standard radiation, I might have anywhere between 1 and 5 sessions with radiotherapy. The goal is to shrink the tumor and keep it from growing. I was surprised to hear that. I thought the goal was to kill the tumor. That apparently isn't necessarily the case. It may happen, it may not, but he didn't seem to think that that was the goal that was going to happen for me, which was kind of disappointing. I was hoping after going through all this stuff that I would walk out of there and I would be done with this at least for a while. Anyhow, he said, no, that's not necessarily going to happen. It depends on how many cells get killed off and how many remain. So that was the problem. There are many different kinds of radiation. This man is a very experienced doctor, and he knew what he was talking about. He was going to get with one of his radiation therapists, and they were going to jointly decide what needs to be done and call us, and we were going to go back. So I guess I'm going to be stuck living with this thing for a long time, and can only hope that they kill off enough cells doing whatever they're going to do to hold it at bay, to keep it small enough so that it does not cause further problems, because radiation can cause other problems. Although most of the people I have spoken with have said, they didn't have any side effects at all. But there are different types of radiation for different types of problems. The brain is a very sensitive area, and they have to be very careful, doing what they do with it. So we will just have to wait and see what happens, and hopefully they'll come up with something good. It did surprise me, though, when he told me that this tumor that has come back actually has a nodule on the end of it. My other doctor told me no, there was no nodule. And I told him that, and he said, I read the report, and that's what the report says. We won't know until we get the image. So I'm hoping that maybe there's a small chance that there's not a nodule, because the nodule is the most difficult part of the tumor. The cyst isn't that bad. It will, in some cases, as it did the first time around, it'll slide right off, and that's the end of it. But it's one of those things that we just don't know about. We're just going to have to wait and see. You guys need to know that none of these medical things are black and white. We want to think that doctors know everything. They don't. That's why they call it practicing medicine. They try this treatment, they try that treatment, and hopefully they find one that works. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. I met a woman at the clinic today, young woman, sitting and crying with her husband. She had come quite a few hundred miles to talk to these doctors there. And she had talked to several doctors, and each one had told her something different. That's not really a good thing to do. It really is not, because all it can do is confuse you, and then you don't know what to do. So I wished her well. I went to my meeting with the doctor, and I walked out a little unhappy, but I'll get over it. I've been unhappy before. That's how life is. You have to take the bad with the good. One thing I did decide to do, though, is however this turns out, I am going to try to live my life to the best I can, enjoy myself the most I can, and not spend my time fretting over this, because that's just a waste of time. I read somewhere a statement that says, if you pray, why worry? And if you worry, why pray? And I think that's a good thing to keep in mind. So while you're thinking about that and keeping that in mind, please subscribe. I'd like to have you come and join me on this journey, because I really think it's going to have a good ending, and I want you to share that with me. Bye-bye.